Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. If you don't know me, my name is Jenna. I am a Canadian who has been living here in Germany since 2014, and I share all of my stories about culture shocks and tips on moving and relocating here to Germany over here on this channel. So don't forget to subscribe and click that bell notification for more awesome videos coming your way soon. Today we are discussing a topic that I've wanted to discuss forever, but I knew that a lot of the Germans watching this video might disagree with some of the things that I say. So I partnered up with a couple other YouTubers, Jess and Seb, so that we could talk about the things that we love about dating Germans and the things that we don't necessarily love, or the things that we hate about dating a German. Jess is from Singapore and I am from Canada, so I thought, best of both worlds, why don't we really see if the opinions that I have are the same as Jess? And of course, Seb was an amazing addition to this video. You guys are going to love it. You get the honest truth from a German himself. So let's get to it, shall we?
Hey guys, it's Jess and Seb. I'm Jess, I'm from Singapore.
I'm Seb, I'm from Germany. On our channel, we do videos about living in Germany, cultural differences between Singapore and Germany, new and fun experiences from our day-to-day lives.
With our videos, we hope to bring you light-hearted infotainment content that will warm your hearts and ultimately to share a little bit more about Singapore with you.
When we jumped on a call earlier and we're talking about the differences, to be honest, I kind of thought they were going to be the same. And then I was really shocked that from Singapore and Canada, you know, like, it's an entirely different world. And sometimes I find that, like, the Germans fall somewhere in between. We're just going to kind of like ping pong back and forth. And I guess I'll start out by talking a little bit about what I love about Germans. And this has changed over the years, that's for sure. I mean, when I first got here, I had a really tough time with German honesty. And I think that that's quite normal for a lot of people, but over the years I've actually come to love it. When somebody is being honest with me, especially my husband now, I really appreciate that, because in Canada, I think also a lot of Germans who have visited Canada also know this, but we're not fake, but sometimes we come off a little bit not real because we're not always telling the truth. You know, in Canada, if you ask your boyfriend or your husband, you know, how do I look in this dress? They will say every single time, you know, you look beautiful, sweet, even if it's not the case. So I really love that when I ask for advice and I want an honest opinion, that my German husband is always going to be straight up honest with me.
Yeah, I can just mirror that. As a German, that is my experience as well. We are very brutally honest. If you ask us, we have an opinion, we will tell you about it. We try to sugarcoat it sometimes. Even if we try to sugarcoat it, for someone who's being used to a lot of sugarcoating and maybe little white lies, our sugarcoating still sounds like being brutally honest. It's like, oh, do I look nice in this dress? And you waver for like 2 seconds. You're like, yeah, you look beautiful. And then everybody knows it's like, he's lying.
But you do it pretty well, I would say. You've been accustomed to sugarcoating for the need of your Singaporean girlfriend, but I think at the very beginning when we first started dating, you were very honest, and I took it very personally, I would say. But for now, I think I love it because you save so much time. You don't beat around the bush and you just get straight to the point. So the second thing that I really love about dating a German is that the fact that they show their appreciation through small daily gestures and not so much of these grand gestures that we know of, like perhaps in North America or back home in Singapore. I think that is one thing that's super different. Like back home in Singapore, the boyfriends would be like, oh, I'm gonna plan a staycation for you, I'm gonna get you a bouquet of flowers, I'm gonna give you a 5-course meal, omakase meal. But in Germany, it's more like, okay, I'm gonna cook you a nice meal, I'm gonna take good care of you. And I really appreciate that fact.
This might not be applicable to every German, but we also can try. It's just that with our mindset of being a little bit more practical, these grand gestures is like, oh, we're trying to get brownie points with our wives, with our girlfriends. And we don't necessarily rely on that because our straightforwardness, we also deliver small doses of love every day. So
yeah.
we rather built on that. And then there's special days like Valentine's Day, Mother's Day and stuff like that, where a small or medium-sized gesture will still be on the table and possible, but not like I'm gonna buy you a flower bouquet that's 200 euros and it's gonna be delivered with someone singing for you.
I mean, as a North American, as a Canadian, I can definitely say the same thing. Like, I'm so used to getting these grand gestures back in Canada, but I never wanted them. I never needed them. And having these small everyday gestures was so much more important, I think, for our relationship here. Is like even just, you know, holding a door or buying a small thing of fresh flowers like once a week. Like, these little things I think Germans do really well as well. Also, a cool one to know, and I've talked about this before and a lot of people argued me on it, and it is because I said that I think that Germans dress really, really nice, especially German men. And that's one thing that I loved about my husband when I first met him, was I thought he had so much more style than any of the men that I had met in North America. I mean, that's because it goes without saying, like, when you go to North America, you'll see people dressed in sweats and, like, I mean, it's changing. I know it's changing in Germany, but still kind of like I guess the basic style. I can't put Germans in a box, but a lot of people dress, you know, with khakis, a nice shirt, nice shoes, and they don't look so frumpy here in Germany as they do in Canada. That sounds so mean, but a lot of Germans said, where on earth are you coming from? You know, Germans don't dress nice. Have you ever been to Spain or France or whatever? But this is my comparison from North America to Germany. So I don't know what it's like for you, Jess, but for me it was quite different.
It is very different. I think first of all, like personally, I think Germans dress super nicely, especially even though like for the small daily routines, like going to the supermarket or picking up your food for takeout. In Singapore, if you're at home and you're wearing your home shirt and shorts, you want to go to the neighborhood supermarket, you just put on a pair of slippers and you go out, like nobody cares. But in Germany, you really have to put on nice jeans, a nice shirt, make sure your hair doesn't look like you just got out of bed. I don't know why, but there are so many people around Munich very, very nicely dressed.
The people, whenever they go out, they're afraid of meeting someone they know and leave a bad impression. So whenever they go out, they dress up nicely to keep a public appearance. I don't know. But yeah, that's, I think, one of the main reasons why we dress nicely when we go out. When we pick up delivery or go to the supermarket, it's always jeans and just look sharp. Yeah.
Yeah. Munich especially.
So, and I think one other point that made me really love dating Sebastian here is that he is such a good cook. And I say this because we Singaporeans, we have so much easy access to food everywhere, and so easy to just get food to take out. We often don't cook at home by ourselves. And even for myself, I'm not a good cook, so that's why I really appreciate that Sebastian does all the cooking at home. But no.
In Canada, I think the men and the women cook. I just don't know. I find that German men tend to cook a little bit better than North Americans. And I don't know if this all boils down to the fact that it's such an international place to be, you know, you're so close to Italy and Spain and the Netherlands, and so you learn all of these different dishes and you learn it more authentically perhaps than one in North America does. But I can say for myself, I was a terrible cook before I moved to Germany, and my husband was the one who actually taught me to cook, so I definitely think that that's so nice. It's so nice to have.
I think one of the main points I can add to that is, from my experience, it's out of necessity. Comparing it to Singapore, you have so easy access to good food. It's like at every corner you find something very delicious to eat. Mm-hmm. And I'm not sure, but I think Canada also has more of this delivery culture and restaurant culture. And Germany, you're very afraid of going to a restaurant which is expensive and then not having a good food or not having a good dish. So you try to bring your A game at home and cook delicious meals to avoid making the wrong investment into a bad dish at a restaurant.
Yeah, and that takes a good spin into my next point, or my last point that I wanted to mention about why I love Germans. And this is not for men specifically, but women as well. I think that Germans are a lot more down to earth than people in North America, there tends to be a little bit of this macho complex where I think a lot of it relates to sports, a lot of it relates to hockey. I don't know, I feel like in Germany, the men don't feel this need to kind of put on this fake appearance to impress someone. I think that it's really nice where people can just be themselves and be who they are. And for example, I mean, when I met my husband for the first time in South Africa, I'm not gonna lie, I thought he was gay. And I've heard this from so many other people as well. It's because the macho complex wasn't there, but I loved it. And then I thought, oh my God, he's totally gay. Like, what have I gotten myself into? Because this like perfect relationship is never gonna work. And so I just think it was so interesting about that it's totally just being down to earth and dressing nice and not worrying about what people think of you and not having to put on this fake like, I'm so macho, you know, I'm such a man. And I absolutely love that.
Jenna, I'm gonna agree with you. When I first started dating Sebastian, I also thought he was gay because he's just so different from the regular Singaporean men, who is like, I need to be the alpha in this relationship. I am the male here, so I'm gonna be the strong one and the female is the weak one. But Sebastian doesn't do any of that, and he's like more down to earth, as you said, and he's not afraid to let his feelings be exposed to you once he gets to know you.
In my defense, when I was younger, I was like that. Because you're still trying to find yourself, right? Yeah, I was about 12 to 14 years old, so there is time period in my life where I probably tried to be macho, but it just wasn't for me. I might have been influenced by the media, Hollywood movies, because the US people also portray it like that in their movies.
I think that brings me to the last point of why I love dating a German, is that for me, coming from Singapore, I think that Germans really treat females as their equal, and there's a very good balance and equal relationships between male and female. And back in Asia, back at home in Singapore, the woman, as I said, is always the weaker one, or they're always kind of expected to be doing the household chores like washing, cooking, cleaning, and when there's a kid, you have to stay at home and take care of the kid. But I feel like for most Germans, couples over here, they are somewhat equal.
I'm also mean because I'm splitting the bill and let you pay for stuff. So not all gentlemen, but I mean, it's just fair to take over half of the burden if we're living together. Especially household chores. I'm doing half of the dirt. I'm dirtying half of my clothes. I'm dirtying half of the dishes. Why I'm not supposed to help you with that or do it myself. Funny
enough, when I was writing down a list of things that I love about dating a German or things that I hated about dating a German, this was one of the things that I put on the latter side of things. But if I can look at this in a positive light, I do agree in some situations that things are a little bit more equal, but I just think that this equal relationship is a lot more present in Canada than it is in Germany, and that's something that I've actually struggled a lot with since moving to Germany. And it's not just within the relationship, but I feel like I'm constantly fighting for like my rights as a woman, which sounds, I don't know, it sounds so like far-fetched, something that I would have never in a million years thought of, but it's very different in North America, which would be a great segue into our next video. I definitely thought that it was good to include something like this into this like two-part sequel so that people can actually see that, you know, we're not bashing on Germans. There are so many things that we love about Germans. It's just there are also a few that I'm perhaps not so lovely. I will include all of the links below, of course, to Jess and Seb's channel as well, and to that video that we have created about things that we don't like. But I just wanted to say thank you so much, guys, for jumping on this call and doing this video with me. I think that this is such an interesting topic, not just for the Germans, but for internationals alike, because I think that many people can also relate to Jess and I, especially since we come from very, very different cultures. So sometimes we might agree and some things are just totally opposite.
No, thank you, Jenna, for having us. It was a lot of fun, and we're looking forward to the next part.
That is all for us. If you are German or even international, let us know what you love or perhaps what you don't love about dating a German in the comment section below. We would love to hear your opinion. I had so much fun filming this video. Thank you so much, Jess and Seb. You guys are amazing. Wie immer, vielen, vielen lieben Dank und bis später.